one thing that is not getting better with time, the US men's national team. So they're moving towards the World Cup qualification at a staggeringly slow pace, and they're now at risk of not qualifying altogether. So we know that they lost to Costa Rica a couple of days back. I got the scoreline correct, Jason, but I did not get the team right. I thought that the United States was going to be the one who would come away with a 2-0 victory.
I have so many questions for you about this team.
Yeah, we will discuss in depth. But they move forward into Honduras, a team that we know are physical and usually cause some problems, and they caused problems to the United States. It should not have gotten to the stage that it did, but they relied on a last gasp. It was like the 84th minute goal from Bobby Wood to somewhat salvage their chances, or just prolong their chances a little bit longer of qualifying for a World Cup. Allow me to put my opinions forth straight away. As the United States proven in the Gold Cup, they have the ability to discard of these opponents when they're on, when they're focused, and when they're ready. But their consistency has always been the problem. These teams should not even be comparing to the United States. They should be walking backwards with a coffee in one hand and with a croissant in the other to World Cup major tournaments every single year, because these teams are not able to produce the same amount of talent that the US does, the way Mexico seemingly are comfortable in their qualification each year. But they're making it so hard for themselves. They looked slow. They looked staggeringly deflated when they went a goal down. They did not look confident. And now their qualification chances hang in the balance. It's absurd to me, absolutely absurd.
2 elements to run through, and then there's like 3 things to rip into immediately. And people like this is the time to overreact.
Yeah.
In the beginning of World Cup qualifying, we're 8 matches deep into World Cup qualifying, and I can tell you that unless something changes fundamentally, and a lot of this I am going to blame Bruce Arena for, because it was part of my fears in the first place. I liked Jurgen Klinsmann. I thought everything Klinsmann did up until his last 3 total matches was some of the best we've ever seen out of the US men's national team, and the World Cup in 2014 proved that, because Klinsmann was able to bring out a different style of football, a style that actually can be used to compete against bigger teams and actually have a shot. Even when you have your goalkeeper and Tim Howard playing out of his mind, to be within reach. So I want to get to the standings as for themselves, and why am I in panic mode as a fan of the US men's national team, and maybe one day a fan of Scotland, because I'm just going to give up soon. Element number 8 has those standings. Then we'll move into the passing map, which is even worse. Yeah, look at that, Mexico. We should be able to compete with Mexico. We have competitive matches with Mexico. You know, they produce higher level talent than we do overall, but just as a benchmark, you would think that Costa Rica, we would be in that kind of group, in that kind of area, but instead we sit there with Honduras, who just beat us 1-1. They didn't draw us, they beat us 1-1 because they took advantage of some of the absolute most atrocious center back work I've ever seen. And I can tell you, Omar Gonzalez's mistake, he should be dropped from the squad.
Yeah.
First of all, he's been unacceptable. That's been the 4th or 5th time I think I've seen him make that mistake. And I'm talking about running back to the goalkeeper and then losing his footing. Like, you get dropped. Make a statement, Bruce Arena. Don't allow that to happen time and time again. I don't care. There's nobody on this squad aside from Pulisic and I believe Clint Dempsey, and then maybe a guy like Wondolowski, that really is untouchable, that we couldn't necessarily find a replacement level. Josie Altidore always injured, but it's not just that. Look at the passing map. We had one forward pass into the box. There's number 10, which I believe is Pulisic. Pushing it forward. Also, a lot of where Pulisic was, you can see, is a little bit messy, man. It's on the right wing. It's a little bit too, in my opinion, I thought it was too up. We need him more. If you're going to be attacking forward, attack forward, because our only chance to win games, I think at this point, is to win 4-3, 5-4, because there is no chance we can compete with that kind of atrocious defending. Have you seen defending that bad? Even in CONCACAF?
Because what he's doing is he's relying on these veterans that he knows back 5-6 years ago were able to get him what he needed out of games. They were going to try to fight tooth and nail, defend well, and then come away with maybe a 1-0 or a 2-1. When you're starting guys like DeMarcus Beasley and Omar Gonzalez, who are, I'm not hating on the MLS, but when you're playing those guys ahead of maybe a Jeff Cameron and a Fabian Johnson, who we know has consistently performed in Germany. Bobby Wood as well. Like, why are you starting these veterans that you, like, are you, I don't know, you have some sort of allegiance towards them? Do they have something over your head, Bruce Arena, that they're thinking to yourself, all right, I need to play my mates? Because they would be as well being your mates. DeMarcus Beasley is at least 64. I don't understand why. And then you have to result in playing Graham Zusi at fullback. I did say that Graham Zusi himself, like, he's hardworking. But when you're left with that player who played in the attacking third, I think, when you were playing in 2014 World Cup, when you used him off the bench, when you're playing him as a right back, you have no depth in the fullback position. And this is what I always stated when it came to Bruce Arena coming in. Is the problem is not Jurgen Klinsmann. The problem was the development of youthful players in this team, and you're relying on veterans 10 years after those guys were already veterans. Like, how much longer are you going to pull back on veterans?
But that's my point. You said yourself, is there some kind of allegiance? Look where Bruce Arena's pickings come from. To me, there probably is an allegiance. But again, I thought that recreating the same problems from the early 2000s without Landon Donovan there, who carried a lot going forward, it looked that we really do need to start developing.
Of course.
We need defense. We literally and desperately need to find guys who can defend. Because again, I think you drop Omar Gonzalez straight from the squad for that one mistake. If I would take no prisoners, absolutely, get off my team.
And by the way, like, just in without looking into it as much depth as you need in a football instance, the team above you has just slightly more people in their whole entire country than you do in Los Angeles. Just one city in Panama, by the way, who are probably known for the Panama Papers more than anything. Like 4.1, I think there's like 3.9 million people in Los Angeles. So yeah, there's a fundamental problem. And no, don't hit me with the basketball and American football. We know the sport is growing here. And if you can, out of a pool of how many people in the United States, 300 plus, how many, 400 plus million, whatever it is, you can't pull a starting 11 that are able to get above a team like Panama. And Costa Rica don't have that many people in their country either. We know Costa Rica had a nice run at the World Cup and they look decent. But come on, this is embarrassing.
Thank you for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. An angry TYT Sports, but we'll come back next week with some happier stories.
Yeah, hopefully.